Concerns are being put in front of the Madison Equal Opportunities Commission.
We know a meeting is set to start in about half hour or so.
WMTV's Michaela Denault tells us more about what residents will be talking about. Michaela.
North and East Side residents are discussing two main issues: bad living conditions and high rent not adjusted to income changes. The meeting will include a presentation on city services, promoting equal opportunity and tackling these housing issues. It stemmed from a surge of housing complaints from these communities. Equal Opportunities Commission member Sheree Wallace says the meeting tonight is all about advocacy.
The equal opportunity is showing the community that they care. The city of Madison care about the people that live here. It's about educating people about their rights.
Wallace also says after they show the residents these resources available to them, the Equal Opportunities Commission will follow up to make sure these tenants get the support they need. Michaela Denault, WMTV 15 News.